This evening, first up, a political bombshell shakes the opposition. Amanza Walton-Desir walks away from the PNC and launches her own party, Forward Guyana. Why she says she had to leave and what this means for the election just months away. Plus, the Attorney General isn't mincing words. Anil Nandlall warns that blocking voters for the polls, especially those who speak foreign languages, could land youth in jail. The fallout from a controversial clip featuring Opposition Leader Aubrey Norton. Also, massive traffic changes on the East Bank. With the Diamond Grove expansion in full swing, new bypasses are in effect. What you need to know before your next commute. Meanwhile, sugar no more? The government announces a major shift for GuySuCo, moving beyond cane to cassava, rice and corn. Is this the future of agriculture in Guyana? Finally, overseas, Iran issues chilling warning. Any US strikes will have consequences. Tensions escalate as the region inches closer to the brink. All this and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay tuned. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for June 18th, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. In a major political shakeup, Opposition Member of Parliament Amanza Walton-Desir has resigned from the People's National Congress Reform (PNCR) and launched a new political party called Forward Guyana, citing a culture of disrespect and sidelining within the PNCR.
Yesterday, I submitted a letter of resignation with immediate effect to the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Mr. Aubrey Norton. I have also written to the representative of the list informing him of my resignation from the party.
Walton-Desir said her resignation follows a crucial meeting with PNCR leader and opposition leader Aubrey Norton to discuss her role in the upcoming 2025 general and regional elections. While the PNCR insists Walton-Desir was assured a seat in Parliament and a role in the campaign team, she rejected the claims and accused the party of undervaluing her contributions and silencing her voice.
After being repeatedly omitted from most campaign activities and key meetings within my designated portfolio, I sought and I was granted a meeting with the leader of the opposition. My intention was to clarify what role, if any, I was expected to play in shaping the future of the PNCR. There was not sufficient clarity for me on the way forward in the PNCR as it is currently constituted. While I appreciated the opportunity to engage, it became clear to me that in good conscience, I could not remain where my contributions are undervalued and my voice silenced.
At the press conference hours after her resignation, Walton-Desir described the move as antagonizing but necessary, asserting that she could no longer remain in a party that failed to embrace inclusive leadership. She said her decision was rooted in principle and a desire to offer Guyanese a new political alternative. Forward Guyana is about bold, courageous change, she said.
This is not about leaving. It is about new ideas. It is about new leadership and new energy. I respect those that have given years to the struggle. That matters. But leadership is not just about how long you've been around. It's about what you've done with the time. Guyanese are frustrated, not because of age, but because they do not feel connected. So I am now stepping forward because I know I can make a difference. And although it may be uncomfortable for me and for some others, Guyana simply cannot wait. Guyanese are out of patience with poverty in the midst of plenty.
She added that the new party aims to tackle major national issues, including poverty, crime, corruption, and the high cost of living. Walton-Desir positioned Forward Guyana as a bridge to a better future, one built on unity, integrity, and action, not just rhetoric. Forward Guyana's launch drew notable attendees, including Member of Parliament, former ministers, and political figures from other parties, signaling the potential for future coalition building. Walton-Desir confirmed the party is open to alliances ahead of nomination day, providing they are based on shared values and a unified vision for national development. The PNCR has acknowledged her resignation, but accused her of misrepresenting the facts regarding her departure. Nonetheless, the party thanked her for her service and extended its best wishes to her. Walton-Desir joined a growing list of senior members who have exited the PNCR as the political landscape shifts ahead for the 2025 elections. Continuing on our coverage of the upcoming elections, Attorney General Anil Nandlall has issued a strong warning that anyone found obstructing or interfering with voters on Elections Day will face criminal charges under the Representation of the People's Act. Speaking during his weekly Issues in the News program, Nandlall responded to a controversial video in which Opposition Leader Aubrey Norton reportedly advised polling agents to block voters who speak foreign languages.
But let me tell them, when we put polling officers in the polling station and they can't talk proper English, bam bam.
Norton was speaking at a public meeting at Calcutta, Burma Road, Maikoni in November of 2024. However, the Attorney General called the comments reckless and discriminatory, warning that such actions could incite unlawful conduct.
Now, that's a highly irresponsible and reckless statement for a political leader to make on the eve of elections or at any time whatsoever. First of all, there is no electoral system in the world that will bar a qualified elector from exercising his or her franchise on the basis of his language or his lingual inabilities. In other words, no system will bar the exercise of a right to vote because a person cannot speak a language, a particular language.
Nandlall highlighted Section 178 of the Representation of the People's Act, which criminalizes any obstruction of voters or disruption of polling activities with penalties of up to $5 million in fines, 3 years in prison, and disqualification from voting or holding public office for 5 years. He stressed that language is not a legal barrier to voting and that since 1987, the law has allowed for interpreters at polling stations to assist voters who do not speak English.
Any country that you go to in the world that is considered democratic has in its laws the facilities to ensure that every registered and qualified elector is allowed to exercise the right to vote. Language or the lack of a particular knowledge of a language, that would be discrimination, which our Constitution will not permit. It would be discriminating against a person on the basis of his language, which may be tied to his culture, which may be tied to his religion, all of which are outlawed by our Constitution.
The Attorney General added that the right to vote cannot be denied based on language, culture, or origin, and any attempts to do so is unconstitutional and xenophobic. With the Guyana Elections Commission currently finalizing the voters list ahead of the September 1st elections, the AG urged political leaders and election staff to respect the law and avoid spreading misinformation that could disrupt the electoral process. In other news, a major traffic rerouting plan is now in effect along the East Bank corridor. Dominic Gittins has more on how the Diamond Grove Road expansion is reshaping your daily commute.
A major traffic rerouting plan is now in effect along the East Bank corridor to accommodate ongoing works under the Diamond Grove Road expansion project. The busy thoroughfare, which handles over 30,000 vehicles daily, is undergoing critical upgrades to improve travel safety and efficiency. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgell announced on Tuesday that private cars will now be diverted onto the newly constructed bypasses, while trucks and public transportation will continue using the main road.
This work has been ongoing for a while. When we came in at first and did the drains, then we came in and did the relocation of the utilities, water, electricity, telephone, and we have now gotten into that stage where we're actually doing the rehabilitation of the actual carriageway, which would see interruption of traffic. What we're seeking to do now is to only allow for trucks and articulated vehicles carrying heavy load to remain on this carriageway, on all buses, cars, SUVs, and the rest of it, the smaller vehicles, to start as of today, going through the bypasses that have been created.
The bypasses were built ahead of construction to minimize disruptions and connects to the Heroes Highway via the Jumbo Bridge at Diamond are now accessible.
Long before we started this project, we ensured that we created adequate bypasses. We did the road just at Diamond. Once you pass the gas station, you could head east, and then you could get into Diamond and cross over Jumbo Bridge and come back out to the East Bank Highway. We have ensured we have made all the necessary connections for people to go down through Heroes Highway, connect through Diamond, and come through the bypasses so that you don't have to be on this carriageway.
Traffic Chief Mahendra Singh pledged full support from the Traffic Department to help manage congestions and ensure smooth adjustments. Head of the Special Projects Unit, Colin Gittins, noted that the road is being fully reconstructed with durable materials to support heavy loads and long-term use. The rehabilitation extends from the Ganga Temple in Grove to Tamiri. Officials emphasized the importance of the East Bank Road network as a critical link for commuters, businesses, and tourists entering Georgetown. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, Dominic Gittins.
Thanks, Dominic. Stick around when we return. Fixed-rate government contracts fuel small business growth in Linden, and GuySuCo to diversify into rice, corn, and cassava as sugar woes persist.
GCOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing June 16, 2025 to produce an official list of electors for the conduct of general and regional elections. If you will be 18 years or older by June 30, 2025 and you're a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors PLE in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can make a claim for registration, change, correction to your particulars, or you can object to the inclusion of anyone who you believe should not be on the list. If you are desirous of making a claim or objection, you must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to do so. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to conduct any of these transactions. All GCOM registration offices will be open from Monday, June 16 to Friday, June 20, 2025, from 8 hours to 20 hours. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0277-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Speak clearly with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common Smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 360 Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The government of Guyana has announced a major shift in the future of the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GuySuCo, with plans to diversify operations beyond sugar into the production of rice, corn, cassava, and other agricultural ventures. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali made the announcement during the 77th Enmore Martyrs commemoration on Monday, describing the move as a strategic redefining of GuySuCo's role as a hub for rural economic development.
GuySuCo can and must become a hub of rural economic development. Its lands, infrastructure, and knowledge base can support other crops like rice, corn, cassava, livestock operations, agro-processing hubs, farmer training and extension services, fabrication and engineering services. Make no mistake, GuySuCo possesses the best machinists there are globally. The global machining industry historically recruited machinists and fabricators from GuySuCo. We have to leverage this human capital and human potential. And in embracing this future that I speak of, there will be some exciting opportunities. Crop diversification, skills diversification, income diversification.
President Ali said GuySuCo's vast land holdings, infrastructure, and skilled workforce could be leveraged for new business ventures. Already more than 20 proposals for manufacturing and other projects have been submitted for Enmore. An additional 3,000 hectares of land will be mechanized in 2025, bringing the total to 8,000 hectares already converted. The initiative follows years of setbacks in the sugar production industry. GuySuCo recently blamed heavy rainfall and labor shortages for underperforming in its first 2025 crop, producing just 15,980 metric tons, well below target. The government allocated $13 billion to GuySuCo in this year's national budget, hoping to spur a projected 115.4% growth in the sector. While past efforts, including proposed international partnerships, have failed to revive the industry, the new diversification plan aims to create sustainable livelihoods and reduce dependency on a struggling sugar sector. On a different note, a wave of entrepreneurship is transforming lives in Linden as small contractors thrive under a government-issued fixed-rate road contract program. Dominic Gittins has more on the initiative reshaping Region 10.
A wave of entrepreneurship is sweeping through Linden Region 10 as small contractors capitalize on government-issued fixed-rate road contracts to build successful businesses and transform their lives. Launched last October, the fixed-rate model allows contractors to work with a pre-agreed budget, removing the burden of complex tendering and unpredictable costs. The initiative has quickly proven effective, creating real opportunities for employment, financial independence, and community development. Beneficiaries like Shaquille Alexander have used the contracts to launch ventures such as the gymnasium, while others, including single mother Latoya Bonus, have seen improvements in their family life and businesses. Young contractor Samuel Gray said the program helped him achieve personal goals and gain valuable experience. The initiative continues to receive praise for its wide-reaching impact, particularly among youth and single parents. With calls for its continuation, the fixed-rate contract program is being hailed as a game-changer in empowering ordinary citizens and driving local development in Linden. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, Tom Nikittins.
Don't go away after the break. G7 final talks overshadowed by Israel-Iran tensions, and Antigua government defends citizenship by investment program amid potential new visa bans from the U.S.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
GCOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing June 16, 2025 to produce an official list of electors for the conduct of general and regional elections. If you will be 18 years or older by June 30, 2025 and you're a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors PLE in all of the registration divisions for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. If you have changed your address since you were registered, you need to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your new area of residence to apply for a transfer. If you do not apply for a transfer, you will have to go to the polling station where you will be listed to vote based on your previous residence. Wednesday, June 18, 2025 is the last day you can apply for a transfer during this exercise. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. In the Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda is defending its citizenship by investment program following a leaked U.S. State Department memo suggesting possible visa restrictions on 36 nations, including 4 Caribbean countries. Foreign Minister E.P. Chet Green vowed to fight like hell to protect the program, calling it transparent and beneficial. St. Lucia's Prime Minister confirmed no official notice has been received. Concerns include citizenship granted without residency and alleged anti-American activities. Iran's supreme leader warned that any U.S. strikes on his country will have serious consequences, and Iran will not accept any peace imposed by force, Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javid reports.
Iranian air defenses are still active, despite Israeli and US claims of total control over the sky. And there's been no let-up in the attacks on Iran. There have been explosions in Tehran and neighbouring Karaj. The Israeli military conducted a series of strikes in the Iranian capital against what it calls a centrifuge production site and several weapons depots. Israel has killed at least 240 Iranians since Friday. Day 6 of air raid sirens across Tel Aviv. Israeli media says at least 20 Iranian missiles were launched. One landed in central Israel. Firefighters tried to control the ensuing fire, which engulfed several cars. At least 24 Israelis have been killed since Friday. Multiple missiles were intercepted, but because of military censorship, the damage in Israel is not clear. According to available open-source information, Iran has targeted multiple sensitive locations across Israel in its recent attacks. In Tel Aviv, missiles landed just a few hundred meters from the Defense Ministry headquarters, while another strike south of Tel Aviv hit the Weizmann Institute of Science. It's a top research center that's reported to have worked with the Israeli army. Several neighborhoods of the city have also come under fire. Missiles hit residential buildings in Ramat Gan and Petah Tikva. They also destroyed a school in Bnei Brak and killed at least 9 people in Bat Yam. In the north of Israel, a missile struck Haifa's oil refinery, forcing operations to shut down. Haifa was hit again soon after, with homes damaged in the Neve Sha'anan neighborhood.
We'll come down so hard if they do.
And the only man who is seen to be able to stop Israeli attacks is increasingly poised to get militarily involved. Donald Trump has called for an unconditional Iranian surrender. The US president says, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other equipment, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived and manufactured stuff," adding that nobody does it better than the good old USA. And as the American and Israeli war rhetoric escalates, the entire region is being pushed to war.
I do believe that someone like Iran's supreme leader at his age, and given that he has spent a lifetime resisting U.S. pressure, prefers to go down fighting rather than surrendering. And so the risk is that with the Islamic Republic going down, it would try to bring the entire region down with it. And so the risk of a regional conflagration now is higher than ever before.
There are unprecedented scenes of destruction after Israel decided to attack Iran. And as the attacks continue by both sides, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei says Iran will show Israel, quote, no mercy. Sama Bijaved, Al Jazeera.
Israel is believed to be in possession of dozens of nuclear warheads despite decades of denial. Al Jazeera's defense editor Alex Gatapoulos explains.
Israel has never formally admitted to having nuclear weapons, and its program remains a closely guarded secret. Despite this, international groups and observers have been monitoring the information coming out of Israel for decades.
Israel has a policy not to confirm or deny its nuclear arsenal. But we know through declassified documents, through satellite imagery, and through information presented by whistleblowers that Israel does, in fact, have a nuclear arsenal of about 90 nuclear weapons.
The nuclear research reactor at Dimona in southern Israel is responsible for producing the fissile material used in the warheads, operating from the 1960s onwards. This became public in the mid-80s when a disaffected worker at the plant, Mordecai Vanunu, revealed some of its secrets. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Israel appears to be upgrading its plutonium production reactor site at Dimona, as well as running tests for its Jericho family of nuclear-capable missiles. The Jericho 2 and 3 are the most advanced long-range missiles in Israel's arsenal. They can be launched quickly and have a range of up to 4,800 kilometers. And this isn't Israel's only choice. A type of cruise missile, the Popeye Turbo, can be launched by fighter jet and also through the torpedo tubes of one of Israel's 6 Dolphin-class submarines, which can remain submerged for over a week. One of the latest versions, the INS Drakon, has a highly unusual sail thought to house missile tubes, seen here undergoing sea trials in Germany a few days ago. Gathering the information on Israel's nuclear-related program has been gradual and not just based on whistleblowers.
Certainly the U.S. intelligence community and others, I mean, obviously there were these conversations at high levels between U.S. officials and Israeli officials, and some of that information got out. And then there's, obviously the Dimona reactor is there and has, no civilian purpose.
Despite the intense secrecy, classified US government documents and Western observers conclude that not only does Israel have a viable nuclear capability, but a variety of means to deliver those warheads across continents. Alex Katopoulos, Al Jazeera.
The final day of the G7 summit in Canada was overshadowed by the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran. Al Jazeera's James Bays reports.
The summit continued here despite President Trump's sudden departure. Although the reason he left, the escalating conflict in the Middle East, was not on the formal agenda, it was still the main concern for those attending. French President Emmanuel Macron, who'd earlier said he believed the US was trying to broker a ceasefire, now says he hopes Trump is using more forceful language only to pressure Iran back to the negotiating table.
I believe that the biggest error today is to seek a regime change in Iran through military means, because that would lead to chaos. Therefore, our responsibility is to resume discussions as quickly as possible to restore a framework for addressing the nuclear and ballistic issues. This is what France has consistently done for the past 10 years.
In an interview with the German network ZDF, Chancellor Friedrich Merz had a much more hawkish tone, saying Israel was doing the world's dirty work.
It is the dirty work that the Israelis are doing for us all. We are also affected by this regime. This mullah regime has brought death and destruction to this world.
Merz also said the destruction of Iran's nuclear program was now also on the agenda, something Israel couldn't achieve alone, hinting that perhaps the US will itself soon join the war against Iran. So even leaders who are sitting around the same negotiating table with President Donald Trump a matter of hours ago have very different views on what the president is going to do next. This meeting was joined by 7 invited countries. There is a very wide range of views on this conflict. The world once again is starkly divided. James Bay's Al Jazeera at the G7 summit in the Canadian Rockies.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.